Takes a minute. It's a little scratchy. I love this camera. Today we're talking about the new Instax Mini Evo instant camera, a camera that I absolutely love. First off, let's just talk about the build, some of the features we have on it, then we'll get into the real nitty-gritty stuff that make this camera super unique in my experience. The Instax Mini Evo reimagines the design of Fujifilm's extremely popular X-T4 mirrorless camera with its silver and black textured body. At only 285 grams, the camera is easy to carry around with you anywhere you go. On the body of the camera itself, you'll find a few handy features that really make the camera a lot of fun to use. The first of which is my favorite, the print lever. Located on top of the camera, when you want to print a photo, all you have to do is pull this lever and the photo begins to print. Aside from the printing lever, you have two shutter buttons, which you can half press to find focus, a customizable button on top that you can set your favorite effects to. There's also a 1/4-inch thread so you can mount the camera onto a tripod, and a cold chute on top where you can attach extra accessories such as an external monitor or an LED light. On the front of the camera is its on and off button, a flash that you can turn on and off as well, a selfie mirror, and a lens dial where you can control the lens effects in this camera. On top, there's one more dial that you can switch your film effects to as well. Then on back, there's your display screen, some more control buttons that make it very easy to navigate. And lastly, on the bottom of the camera is a micro USB and micro SD port. My general impressions of just the build and what this camera has. Again, I really like the look, feel, and lightness of it at 285 grams. But I love just every thought they put into between the two different shutter buttons, between the customizable buttons, how fun it is to kind of scroll these to change your effects. Obviously the printing lever is my absolute favorite thing on it by far. Just a personal thing that I love on it. It's just a little touch. I do like the build and feel of this camera a lot. Onto the actual camera itself, it uses a 28mm lens, so it's pretty wide, not aggressively wide. More importantly, it's a focus distance of 10 centimeters to infinite, meaning you can get really close to your subjects. It shoots with an f2 aperture, and you can actually control the exposure plus and minus 2 stops in the camera. So you do have some manual controls over your exposure of the images, while it does have auto ISO and auto shutter speed. I really liked the outcome of the images I was able to get. More importantly, just having that bit of manual control and the monitor to be able to see what I was shooting, I found just stepped up the game a little bit from other instant cameras I've used in the past that don't give you that sort of ability to adjust some of your exposure settings. Not to mention, this does have autofocus in the camera, which is really cool. You'll get, your classic little green square when you're focused in on your subject. And it's just a great touch to add at a camera in this price point and in a fun instant camera itself. So the actual quality of camera in this and the prints that you can get out of it, I really, really liked a lot too. All right, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty features that this camera has. Two most important ones are gonna be the effects you can do in camera with it, and then also the Mini Evo app that you can get on your smartphone. So let me start by talking about the effects. As I mentioned before, there's 10 lens effects, which are normal vignette, soft focus blur, fisheye, color shift, light leak, mirror, double exposure, and half frame. And there's also 10 filter effects, which are normal, vivid, pale, canvas, monochrome, sepia, yellow, red, blue, and retro. The filter effects remind me more of sort of an Instagram filter. You have your sepia, you have your monochrome. I really love the lens effects. My favorite by far was the double exposure, which Fujifilm is known to have these really cool built-in capabilities in their cameras. And I love that they added it into the Instax Mini Evo as well. On this, you go to your double exposure mode by changing the lens wheel in front. You take your first shot, you get to see what it looks like, and it's gonna give you sort of a look image at what that double exposure is going to look like on the screen. So you can actually line up your shots and get the exact framing, which makes my double exposures personally much better and have a much better end product. I also really loved the color shift and the mirror effect. Those were the three I probably found myself using the most. You don't have to go into Lightroom, you don't have to go into Photoshop and add any of these effects in. They're all in camera, and you can preview what they're gonna look like before you shoot, which is just like such a simple idea that I would have never thought of. And I love that Fujifilm brought it to their Instax Mini Evo. So the other major feature that this camera has is your ability to connect it to your smartphone via Bluetooth through the Instax Mini Evo app. I downloaded the app and right away it's really simple to use. Anyone can do it, but it's gonna let you do some powerful stuff. So first, one of the things it's gonna let you do is actually print photos from your smartphone onto the Instax Mini Evo itself. Secondly, you can actually transfer photos from your Instax Mini Evo onto your iPhone. So what you're able to do is take a photo that you like here, and then you'll be able to transfer it through Bluetooth onto your phone, and it's going to include the Instax frame on that photo. And you can customize the color of the frame, the saturation, the contrast, the exposure of that photo on the phone. So when you get it onto your phone, everything is customized in the way you like it. And then you can further customize it if you want through something like Lightroom or even just on Instagram. And then you can post it on social media, which is super, super cool to do. They're making it like very friendly for people who like to have that sort of actual physical prints of an Instax, but then also now you can upload those images onto social media, onto Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. The last thing that you can do through the app is use your phone as a remote for the camera, which is pretty self-explanatory, but you can use your phone essentially as a monitor to see what the camera is looking at. And then you can also use your phone as a remote to take the photo or to set a timer on. So yeah, that's the app. And again, like I loved the user experience of the app. It was just like they didn't put anything more than what you needed in order to do what it does perfectly, if that makes any sense. So I did love using the app with the Instax Mini Evo. And overall, like the camera in tandem with that technology, again, it's like this perfect hybrid between everything I love about this old digital camera, which is ironically now nostalgic to me in my generation, with an even more vintage instant camera. It's just like this cool combination of these two older worlds that are now meeting in this contemporary world. For only $200, I think that's gonna help the Instax Mini Evo really stand out from its competitors. My overall experience with it was really great. And I think mostly what I liked about it is how it really enables people who want to be creative on a format such as an instant camera. They can have more manual control over the actual images, and they can truly do whatever their brains can think of with the effects that come onto this camera. So there's 10 lens effects and 10 filter effects. You have over 100 different expressions that you can do with this camera because you can do both the filter and lens effects at the same time. I think that opens up a world of whatever your brain can think up, it can do, and then you can easily share it onto your social media, or you can print photos from your phone onto this. It just does a lot of different things that I want from an instant camera that I didn't even know I wanted. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. As always, like and subscribe to Focus Camera, and thanks for coming by, guys.